What's good, everybody? It's the Clown with Cap Show. Shout out to my Notre Dame Fighting Irish. They finally won a big game. It's been over 30 years since we won a huge game like we beat Georgia recently. Shout out to head coach Marcus Freeman. Everybody doubted Notre Dame, and I kind of doubted Notre Dame when we lost to Northern Illinois week 2. But ever since then, they've won 12 straight games, and it's been really amazing. I mean, the whole team's just playing different, and led by Marcus Freeman. We got to give credit where credit's due, and I understand our old coach, Brian Kelly, he kind of elevated us, yes, to a level, but we never got over the hump, right? We never won that big game. I remember the BCS times back in 2013 when we had Manti Te'o. We played Alabama. We're supposed to have a great game. We ended up getting blown out. And then we lose to Clemson in the college football playoff. You know, we lose these big games. We lost to Georgia twice in the regular season. And now all of a sudden, this year, man, we just really flipped the script. We beat Indiana, and everybody kind of dogged on Indiana this year. And I think, you know, we look at Indiana, they lost to Ohio State, who's going to be in the national championship, and they lost to Notre Dame, who's going to be in the national championship. So we look at Indiana football and say, wait a minute, like, maybe their losses are actually not that bad. Like, Indiana football was actually great this year. Yes, their only two losses were two teams who are going to be in the national championship game. So that's speaking volumes to Indiana football. Shout out to head coach Sig on that. But I'm looking at this matchup right now. What the Notre Dame Fighting Irish have. We're playing Penn State. Penn State has a great defense. Obviously, they have a really a top 5 pick and a D end that's coming off the edge, and it's just like, wait a minute, like, how is Notre Dame going to win this type of game, right? But I'm looking at Notre Dame. I mean, this matchup is actually better than the Georgia matchup, and I understand, you know, the Carter, he's going to be a number 1, obviously, maybe number 2 overall pick. We're talking about a guy that's going to be a top 5 pick coming out of Penn State, the pass rusher Carter. Shout out to Carter. He's a beast. He really is. But I'm looking at Notre Dame. This matchup, Notre Dame is -2 right now. Obviously, you know I'm a diehard Notre Dame fan. I'm taking Notre Dame right now. We are the better team. We have the better team overall. We have the better quarterback. We have the better running back in Jeremiah Love. Even though Jeremiah Love was banged up against Georgia, I think he got hurt in the third quarter or something like that. Did not come back. I think that was the coach's decision. But overall, we look at that Georgia matchup. Marcus Freeman outsmarted Kirby Smart. He just outcoached him. He outsmarted him. We went with that fake punt. We got him to bite on the offsides. You know, just everything added up for Notre Dame to why we won that game. And nobody wants to give credit to Notre Dame. Nobody wants to say, yeah, man, Notre Dame deserved that. Everybody's saying, well, this was the worst Georgia team in the past 5 years. Okay, that might be so, but at the end of the day, they're the SEC champions. The Georgia Bulldogs are the SEC champions. Nothing to take away from them. They're the reason they won. So, like, come on, bro. Like, we can't just take away that, man, and just say, oh, they're the worst Georgia team we've seen. No, like, okay, that might be true, but they're still the SEC champions. Like, come on. Like, Notre Dame Fighting Irish just beat the SEC champions this year. And we beat another SEC team in Georgia Tech early on this season. So I'm looking at Notre Dame right now. All the disrespect we're getting is kind of crazy. It really is. I mean, we have athletes everywhere. Everywhere we look. Obviously, Jeremiah Love, he did not get in against the Georgia Bulldogs, but we got guys like Collins, the receiver that transferred from Clemson. We have him. He scored a touchdown against Georgia. We have so many athletes that are on Notre Dame right now where it's like, dude, we could really win a national championship this year. I'm not just saying it to say it. I really believe that. I think Notre Dame has the talent to do it. And the leadership that Marcus Freeman brings to the table, it's awesome. And we have the offense and defensive linemen to do it. We win in the trenches. We out physical Georgia. That's what we did. So, like, it's hard to say, right? The SEC champions, but we outmanned them. We did. We ran right through them, even though the score was relatively close, 23-10. We really just put a beating on Georgia. And nobody wants to give Notre Dame credit, but we're playing a good Penn State team. You know, we really are led by Drew Aller. Their quarterback, he's really good. 24 touchdowns this year, 7 picks. And we look at Penn State, they have a good run game as well. They really do, but I'm looking overall, Penn State's kind of one-dimensional type of team. They like to run the ball a lot. I could say that about Notre Dame, but I really think Riley Leonard could throw. They're just kind of underestimating him on that. But when our run game and our offensive line are so good, well, then stop us then. At Penn State, do they have the defense to stop us? I don't know. We look at Penn State, Oregon. You know, Oregon scored 45 on Penn State. So, like, obviously Oregon, they're out of the college football playoff. They got ran through by Ohio State. Obviously Ohio State's the most talented team right now left in college football playoffs. Absolutely. But we look at Penn State. They lost to Ohio State earlier this year, only by a touchdown. At home, though. At home, and then in the Big Ten Championship, obviously they lost to Oregon. Oregon put up 45 on Penn State. So I think, the difference here is Penn State's secondary is not that good. It's not nowhere near as what Notre Dame is with Xavier Watts, the first-round pick that we have, the safety for Notre Dame. He's a beast. He really is, man. We just have so many great leaders on Notre Dame where it's like, this is our time right now. And everything that I said last week, Ohio State versus Notre Dame in the national championship, it's really coming to fruition. It's really looking like it's going to be Notre Dame versus Ohio State in the national championship game. It really is, dude, and I love that. I absolutely do. I mean, Riley Leonard, man, the transfer from Duke, we got him this offseason. That was huge this past year. And it just developed into this right now where we just won every single game ever since the NIU loss. And I kind of wrote the Notre Dame Fighting Irish off. I'm not going to lie. When they lost to Northern Illinois week 2, I'm like, oh, my gosh. We go into Texas A&M week 1. We win a big game on the road. And then all of a sudden we lose at home to Northern Illinois? And what is going on? No, we just never gave up, and we just took off. Ever since then, we won all those games all the way down. We beat the SEC champions. Now we're playing Penn State. Penn State's a huge challenge, absolutely. They have pro athletes, absolutely. But I think Notre Dame wins this game 10-plus points. I would give you guys 6.5, 7 points in this game. I think Notre Dame runs right through Penn State. I think it's an easier game matchup against, obviously, this game and against Georgia. I mean, we're talking the SEC champions here. We're talking about Penn State, who, Oregon put up 45 points on Penn State. So the secondary isn't that great. So I think Notre Dame, man, obviously I'm going Notre Dame. There's no way around it. I'm going Notre Dame. I'll take the 2 points. 45.5 is the over-under. That's tricky. Now, I think that's an interesting line right there. I think it's going to be right around there. So it's either going to hit the over or under. I'll probably lean more towards the over right now. I think Riley Leonard in this offense is going to start to break out. And I think Marcus Freeman understands, hey, like, we're going to have to score some points. We're going to have to throw the ball down the field. If we're going to want to win a national championship, we're going to have to throw the ball down the field. I mean, Riley Leonard against Georgia had, 90 passing yards? That's it, dude. To win a national championship, we're going to have to push that envelope. But right now, this matchup against Penn State, I love it. I love this matchup against Penn State. Penn State does not have athletes like Georgia does, dude. I mean, yes, they do on some positions, but overall, there's no way. On defense, we're going to exploit Penn State's defense, and we should put up at least 28 points on Penn State, at least. They should put up 30s. In the 30s, that's what I think Notre Dame's going to do. So give me Notre Dame, man, in the Capital One Orange Bowl, man. Take off Marcus Freeman. Take off Notre Dame. Let's go. And then we got the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic. We got Texas versus Ohio State. Ohio State is 6-point favorites, which makes sense. I mean, we look at Ohio State. They ran right through Oregon. Made Oregon look like a JV junior varsity team from high school. It was just embarrassing. I mean, it wasn't even a contest. It was over at halftime. It was insane. Ohio State won 41-21. And really the last 2 touchdowns were in the second half against Ohio State. I mean, Ohio State's turned it up. Obviously, they lost to Michigan. They've lost to Michigan the past 4 years. And we look at Ohio State and say, yep, they're the most talented roster. Yep, they have the most talented receiver in college football in Jeremiah Smith. We're talking about a guy who is a freshman, dude. We're talking about a guy who could go top 5 this year, but he can't because he's so young. So shout out to Jeremiah Smith, man. He cooked Oregon, made Oregon look just silly, dude. He really did. We look at Texas. Ewers, he's all right. He's an all right quarterback. I don't see anything special, but we look at Texas. They really should have lost to Arizona State. But credit to Texas. They're down by 7 against Arizona State, 4th and 13. Their season on the line, and they score a touchdown. So we got to give credit when credit's due. Shout out to Texas, man. But right now, obviously, I'm going to Ohio State. Will Howard, coming from Kansas State, I think he's 0-3 against Texas. So that's kind of interesting stat as well, the quarterback for Ohio State. But, there's just so many athletes. I mean, they got Henderson. He's a future NFL running back. They got Jenkins, another future NFL running back for Ohio State. Ohio State's just stacked right now. And if Ohio State loses, Ryan Day's on the hot seat, absolutely. But I don't see him losing to Texas. I think Texas it's kind of all hype. I really do. I mean, Texas lost to Georgia twice. They really should have lost to Arizona State. They really should have. I mean, Arizona State, they really put up some crazy numbers on them. And props to Arizona State, man. Props to Scabadoo, their running back, Cam Scabadoo. He's going to be a first-round pick. I could see him playing for the 49ers or the Pittsburgh Steelers. Single-handedly, he almost beat Texas. I mean, a running back, he threw for a passing touchdown, rushed for over 100 yards. He just went crazy, man. I mean, he just went insane, had 143 yards rushing on Texas. So you don't think Jeremiah Smith is going to eat on Texas? Like, you don't think Henderson is going to eat on Texas, man? Texas is in for a treat. They really are. I mean, obviously, they can flip the script and put up some numbers, but I think Texas is in this matchup, it looks like they might get blown out. They might get blown out. I mean, I hate to say it. In Texas, yes, it's great for college football that Texas football is great and they're back, but they're not going to win a national championship. They're not going to beat Ohio State. Let's be honest. Ohio State right now, they are on fire. They're on fire right now, even though their Achilles heel Ohio State this year was their inconsistency. Some games they play great, other games they don't. But right now, the past month, Ohio State's been on fire, and they're locked in. They're ready to go. They're ready to go right now. So, obviously, I'm going to go Ohio State all day. I'll take the 6 points. But, I just think Ohio State's defense has stepped up. I mean, they're amazing, man. They got Downs, the transfer safety from Alabama. He's a sophomore, all Big Ten right now. He's a beast. They have so many great players on defense as well for Ohio State. That's really going to shut down Ewers and company. They're not going to be able to run on Ohio State. Ewers is going to have to single-handedly beat them. I just don't see it, man. I see Archie Manning eventually taking over the future for Texas football, this season coming up. But right now, I just think Ohio State, what they've done this year, man, it's been magnificent, right? Obviously, they can't beat Michigan. They're rivals, blood rivals, but I'm going Ohio State right now. I'm going with my prediction. I'm going Ohio State versus Notre Dame in the national championship. Ryan Day versus Marcus Freeman, man. And Marcus Freeman, they played Ohio State, I think, a couple years ago in Ohio State, and they lost to him. So, they're very familiar. It's not like a team that we don't know. Like, Notre Dame knows Ohio State. They're our neighbor state. Like, everything that we need to know, we know about them. So, I think Marcus Freeman, we're locked in on Penn State. I think we should run through Penn State. I think Notre Dame should beat Penn State by 14-plus points. I'm not disrespecting Penn State whatsoever, but Penn State, man, they just don't have the secondary and the special teams like Notre Dame does. And I think that's the difference here. I think Notre Dame, man, I say it every year. I understand that, but I really, truly believe in Marcus Freeman and the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. I do. And I just think the whole dynamic, the whole atmosphere there, it's similar to the Detroit Lions and Dan Campbell. When Dan Campbell got in Detroit, in 2021, his first season as a head coach, he won 3 games in Detroit. Now, all of a sudden, they're the number 1 seed in the NFC. They get a first-round bye. They're looking to win a Super Bowl. Like, Dan Campbell changed the dynamic of the Detroit Lions. Similar to Marcus Freeman in the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. He changed the whole dynamic of the atmosphere in Notre Dame. He changed the culture there. He has their players playing for each other. It's not just, me. It's about me. I'm the star player. No, it's about the whole team. And the whole team as a whole, dude. Special teams, from even the trainers to the coaches. The whole list goes on and on, man. Marcus Freeman changed the whole dynamic. And Marcus Freeman got there in 2021. And Marcus Freeman's first 3 games as a head coach at Notre Dame, he lost them. He was 0-3. Started off 0-3, Marcus Freeman. People were talking about firing Marcus Freeman. Not winning the big game. They lost to Marshall a couple years ago. Just losing to teams they shouldn't lose to. Lost to Northern Illinois this season. Like, all these things start to add up where it's like, wow, they've won 12 straight. Like, and they're just on fire right now, and they're playing as a group. And we got the talent, man. Xavier Watts, the safety. I think he's the X factor defensively for Notre Dame, man. He's going to step up. Jack Kaiser, another outside linebacker for Notre Dame. I think he's a 5th, 6th-year senior, dude. He's going to step in, man. We just have the greats, man. Even though we've been battling injuries, man, we've been dealing with injuries. Our D lineman, who's a first-rounder, he's out. And Mills, I just think overall, man, it's just destiny, man. You can't change it. God has a plan, man, and I'm telling you, Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Lou Holtz is happy. I already know he is, dude. He's geeked about this opportunity for Notre Dame because, let's be honest, Notre Dame hasn't won since '88. 1988, dude. I wasn't even born then, dude. Like, that's crazy. The iPhones weren't even dropped in the 80s, man. Like, do payphones even exist in the 80s? I think so, but just looking at it, man, I love Notre Dame, man. There's nothing that's going to change me. I think Notre Dame should run through Penn State. We should win the Capital Bowl, Orange Bowl. We should really do this, man. We should win this, man. Man, it's just awesome, dude. It's an awesome time to be a Notre Dame Fighting Irish fan. We finally won that big game, right? We weren't supposed to beat Georgia. Georgia, the ACC champions. They were supposed to run right through us. They're supposed to have better athletes. They're supposed to out-physical Notre Dame, but that did not happen. We out-coached them. That's what happened. We had the athletes to win a national championship. I truly believe that, and it starts with Notre Dame's defense. We have the top defense in the nation. Same thing as Ohio State. So it's going to be an interesting matchup when we do meet Ohio State in the national championship. I cannot wait, but give me Notre Dame. Give me Riley Leonard. I think Riley Leonard and Jeremiah Love, Jordan Faison, these type of guys are the X factor offensively. And I think Notre Dame offense has got to step up. You know, if we're going to want to win another big game, our offense got to step up. We got to score in the 30s this game against Penn State. We could give up a couple touchdowns. That's fine. Overall, I think Notre Dame puts up in the 30s against Penn State. Final score, 35-21. Notre Dame over Penn State. Then we got Ohio State, Texas. Ohio State's going to run right through Texas. They're going to win probably by 14 plus as well. They're going to win probably 35 to freaking like 17. Ohio State over Texas. It's going to be embarrassing, but I cannot wait, man. Notre Dame's here, baby. Marcus Freeman, my Notre Dame Fighting Irish versus Ohio State in the national championship game. You heard it from Cap, no Cap. It's the Cloudwood Cap Show. Let's go!